Welcome to the Rocket Launcher podcast. This is episode 15, and I am your host, Supreme King, and I am joined by my co-hosts.
It's your guy Omasis coming live from his phone because they decided to work on the internet on the middle of the day. So, yeah.
All right. Well, he decided to address it, ladies and gentlemen. So bear with us, and we'll hope to have better quality going forward. I'm not gonna throw my co-host under the bus. It's not like it's actually his fault, because there has been times. I have to admit, there were times where the slightest wind would blow on a power line or something, and then we'll just be out for the whole day, and we wouldn't even know what's going on. And sometimes it happens like almost every October, and October is coming up, so I'm gonna have to deal with it again. And so it's one thing for it to happen on the podcast. It hasn't happened on the podcast yet, but you guys understand I'm still new to this, so it does happen at work. And when it happens with work, it's not a good thing. It's not a good thing when it happens at work. But because there's been times, I guess I told my business a little bit. So yes, I'm still a work at home person. I'm not gonna tell you what I do, but I work at home. Or I'm still at home. I'm kind of lucky, because if they decide all of a sudden I'm not working at home no more, right? But
true.
There has been times where there was this one time, I guess I could tell you real quick before we even get into anything. This one time, while being in work at home, basically, somebody who works on the internet lines for a whole nother internet company, right? They cut my line by accident and then just left. They just left and just dipped, oh shoot, and just left. There was a whole nother company, and it took my company to come out to see it. And I told them, yeah, this other company was here because we saw their truck in the area or whatever. And he's like, well, basically they cut it and just didn't say nothing. They didn't want to fix it or nothing. And they probably was trying to cut the other person and didn't say nothing. And so literally just left. And I had no internet and no access to my job or whatever, and basically was out of a lot of money for a day or two, I think, because I couldn't do nothing.
They said, just left.
And just left. Yeah.
Right.
It's trash.
Oh man! I would have been so mad. I would have been so heated.
And there was nothing. I literally couldn't do nothing until my guy came out there, and then when he got it fixed, it was just late in the afternoon. So it was I literally couldn't do nothing. I was still in contact with my peoples and stuff, but yeah. So it happens. So every so often we might have some cell phone quality. I do apologize in advance. But we still gonna get it popping here. So we got way too many game shows to talk about. I mean, way too many game shows. I've already done some solo work on it, but we're gonna go over some of the stuff again. PlayStation, Nintendo, Xbox's Tokyo show is here. We're also gonna talk about Disney and Marvel's game show. And then there was a brief little indie show, Developers of Color. We're gonna talk about that as well. And then, just general gaming topics. There's been some gaming topics here. And then stick around to the very end, and I will let you know about the Megazord, because I did get it in hand. And so I can give you my first impressions of it. So, yes. So, other than that, hit the like button and subscribe, and share this out to any of your friends that's into some extreme nerdcore stuff and that's looking for an outlet to escape to. Because I want you to know that I'm trying to make this an escapable outlet as much as I can. Because I like to escape from the stupidity as well. There's going to be some stupidity that might make it into this podcast.
Don't we all?
But yes. I guess we could talk about this, though, to begin with. The PlayStation show. Let's talk about that one before Nintendo. I thought this was overall a phenomenal show. Just as a show itself, the pacing of it, what was shown, it was much more of the stuff that I would want to see, and I know that's a little bit subjective, and I've seen some people dog out Nintendo so far about their show, but PlayStation at least just did it in a way that I thought was good, because they started off strong, they ended strong, and even with the stuff that was stuff you've seen before, it was still presented in a way where it didn't take too long, and it still kept you hyped for what you were going to get when it comes out.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I guess Hogwarts Legacy was here, and God of War were the biggest ones that we've, the biggest points in the show from notoriety and names. But
yeah, true.
We already knew these names. We know a lot of names here, but then there were some names here that we didn't know. But these two things, when they shine, they shine. I guess we could start off with let's start from the beginning, because they did Tekken 8. Like, Tekken 8
So excited.
was hot. It was a very cool trailer. And what's so cool too is that we still know there's going to be a Street Fighter 6, right? And so now you're getting Street Fighter 6 and Tekken 8. I do believe there's supposed to be also a Mortal Kombat 12, even though it hasn't been like announced yet. That they were supposed to be working on that too. So it's like, yo, the fighting games are here. You know what I'm saying?
Fighting games are for sure here.
The fighting games are here.
I'm so excited. So I grew up playing Tekken.
Yeah.
Like, Tekken was always like, it was my fighting game of choice. I'm a DC fanboy, so when Injustice came out, that took over. But like, before Injustice, it was Tekken. Tekken is the one that I'm gonna play. And this one looks so good. Even if this wasn't like 100% just gameplay, like, it did say it was captured through the gameplay. The weather effects look great. There was dodging as well that I thought looked great. A nice new, like, subtle mechanic to throw in is like the dodging of moves and everything. And I'm just, I can't wait for this one. It looks really good.
Yeah, very nice trailer. Very good on the graphics and the presentation of it. So yeah, Tekken 8 is here. It's given, Street Fighter 6. I don't know. I think the developers might be sitting there like, yo, like, they thought they was gonna be like king of the fighters real quick, because you didn't have any other competition that was right there. But now it's like, yo, here's another one that's a big name that's coming in.
And not only that, that's been their like main competition. Let's be honest, it's Street Fighter, Tekken, and Mortal Kombat are like the three. And like, for a while it was straight up looking like Street Fighter was about to release on its own. So we're like, oh, we're toasted. And now it's just like, nope, your main competition is right here with you. Let's go.
Yeah, we got to figure out when these release dates are. I haven't really looked them up, but I think Street Fighter 6 might have had a release date. We got to see how close they are to each other. But yeah, both of these games are here. I'm here for both of them. Tekken was looking awesome. And then followed by that, they went into, I guess, the VR stuff real quick. And so it was like a quick little Star Wars game. I don't even remember the actual name of it. I just know it was Star Wars.
Star Wars Tales from Galaxy's Edge.
Okay.
So I heard this one was like I think Oculus game. It was one of the PC ones.
Okay.
That's being moved over to the PlayStation VR 2. And I've heard it's really good. Like, it's one of those games where it's just like, if you're a Star Wars fan and you're gonna get VR, you will really enjoy this game. One of those. So, like, I haven't heard anything bad about that game, so it's cool that one's being moved over. And then the other one that you weren't so hyped on, but I actually like, because I play those in real life, the Demio, which was the tabletop games where you're like, card game or rolling dice and moving pieces around the board. I actually play those with some friends. So if done correctly, this is a way to turn that into like y'all haven't got to be together. You could do this remotely, which would be kind of cool. Because like, for example, my Dungeons and Dragons group, right? Super nerdy. So Dungeons and Dragons group, we got some people that like live in a whole nother state, live in a whole nother country. that's like part of the game. So it's like now there'll be another thing you can do with them. So
It'd be kind of cool. I know there was like that whole push for the metaverse thing, like for a while. That's almost starting to be a little quiet now. It's funny, but it would be cool
as it
if
should
like
be.
you could have like little tournaments or something. I don't know, maybe. But
Yeah. Well, so there is a really popular tabletop game.
okay.
It's called Gloomhaven. So it's Dungeons and Dragons, but almost like pre-written for you in a way as you go through. But it's one of those games that, like, to be honest, it is a pain to, like, you have to set up a lot of stuff just to play for like a couple hours, and then when everybody's about to go home, to try and put everything back again is torture. There's to the point where people are now, they like make tables where you can take off the top and the whole Gloomhaven thing is just kind of set up in the center, and when you're done, you just put the top of the table back on and use it as a normal table, so you ain't got to worry about resetting up every time. So if they could turn it virtual and VR, so you feel like you're there, like with your friends playing this like heavy game, that if that could like eventually translate that to there, that might be a very solid like choice.
Yeah, that would be cool. That would be cool. So I'm still interested to know what's the price of this PlayStation
Same.
VR 2. But I do have to throw a surprise at you. I don't know if you knew about this, but we're throwing out surprises early this time around.
All right.
Before. So there is some breaking news about the PlayStation VR 2 that we do know. And apparently it will not be backwards compatible with PlayStation VR, the first one. So VR2 will be whatever is on VR2. It will not play the first VR games.
Oh, that's boring because there's a lot of cool ones there. So you would have to buy a whole other
You gotta buy a whole nother
headset for it. Like,
yeah.
so for those that have a VR already and have those VR games,
Yeah.
that's going to be really annoying. For those that don't and we're thinking about jumping in here, they're going to be missing a lot of cool stuff because there are some really cool VR games. Like, especially if they're not going to at least make VR2 versions of them. You know, they like to do that and then make you pay full price again.
I think that's where they're gonna go with it. I think they're gonna go down the list and do it at least for all the actual like their exclusives. I think they're gonna do that. I don't know.
So that'll be nice for. I mean, I guess it'll work out for the people who are jumping in at VR2, just because that would be the first time they get it, anyways. To not miss out on some good stuff, but that's really messed up for the people who supported you for the VR1.
Yeah. So
unless they can do something where it's like, not like, you know, like a free, you already own the game, here's a free upgrade sort of thing.
Oh my God. If they go there,
get our VR2, but you know they won't do that. So that's sad.
Yeah. I'm not ruling out VR at all. I'm not throwing that type of curveball, but I'm just a little bit more hesitant now. That almost would have sold it for me, even at 500, because I assumed it was going to be probably 500. I don't think that the system is going to be more than the PS5. However, in some areas, the PS5 is $550 now. So it could be as much as $550. But the idea of it not playing the first library is like, well, there goes some of the games that I still got from PS Plus. And then some of the games that have VR mode. So, yeah. So, yeah, that's my only curveball, I think. I don't think I had any other curveballs, but that was it. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's annoying.
It's still a good show as a show, because that was still... It wasn't really a low point. It was just like, oh, it's VR, and I don't have one yet. But then they went from that to, like, the Sega game, the Like a Dragon spinoff. I forgot the subtitle name. I should have wrote it down.
Like a Dragon Ishin?
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, and I think somebody mentioned, or I think I saw a report where the main protagonist in that game, along with the one from the regular Like a Dragon game, is going to be in the next Yakuza game. Like, they're both going to be co-protagonists.
So, Yakuza Like a Dragon And all apparently previous Yakuza games as well. It's almost like they plucked characters from them on like a movie thing, and they're all playing different like people in Like a Dragon Ishin. So it's like if you look at them, they're going to look like a person that was already in the game. Again, like a movie thing, where it's like, but they're playing a whole nother character in the past. Which I know I have heard Yakuza does go with like the ridiculous side, and seeing this lore and all this other stuff, and then having access to a chunk of them, I might go back and try them, like a bunch of them.
Yeah, I think the collection is there for the first 6, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
and then there was
and plus gave away Zero and Dragon, right?
Yes, Zero I think was probably given away a while back. I know I bought it, but then there's Konami.
Yeah, I got it from Plus.
Is it called Konami? Yakuza Konami 1 and 2. I think that's what it's called. It's 2 other ones.
Kiwami, I think.
Kiwami.
Like with a W?
Yeah, I think that's it. What I say, Konami?
I forgot. Yeah. That's Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yeah, so they got a bunch of Yakuza games there. So all multi-plat, I guess, so you guys could play them anywhere. But yeah, so that was on the show. The things that I was liking about the show though was that it had more of a mature like feeling to it. It was like coming from the Nintendo one. Like the Nintendo one, I was not too fond of. Like even when I made the video, it just kind of was mellowed out. Like the energy. If anybody saw both videos,
I heard it.
There was a huge.
I watched your video on it. I watched your video on it. It was very much like a here's the Nintendo show, and they're like, "Yo, this PlayStation show." Like it was just, that was the vibe they gave off. Yeah. Because I felt the same way watching it. But even when you say, like, the more mature thing, like, they had the Harry Potter thing, and even then it was focused on, like, a horror mini, like, or like a mission and everything. Like, it was still more intense. But I do have some complaints about that, though.
Yeah, so Hogwarts Legacy was next. They showed the trailer, and then they flashed the release date, so we still know it's February 10th, 2023. Yep. So February is kind of stacked. You know, not February, but 2023 is stacked. This year, February is kind of stacked, but Elden Ring has something to say about it. But
yeah,
so yeah, what do you want to say about Hogwarts? Go ahead.
So something positive first, because I'm looking forward to this game. Sure. I've been noticing like the original footage when they were showing off the game, the main character like that you play had a Gryffindor like robe on, and then when they showed that last mission that they did about the dark arts and the zombies and everything, the person had on a Slytherin robe. And then in this trailer, they had on a Ravenclaw robe. So it sounds like you get sorted into a different house, which I was hoping for. Okay. But if they have, like, different stories, it sounds like you were getting, like, the Dark Arts are trying to, like, get you to join them in that second trailer that they did. And it sounds like you kind of get a choice of whether you do or not. So if the game has, like, different stories subtly based off of, like, what choices you do, that combined with being in a new house might prove, like, really good replayability to, like, go through the story multiple times. Which seems good. Now, my complaint.
Okay.
That mission that they showed at the show, the Haunted Hogsmeade Shop mission, it's a PlayStation exclusive quest.
It's a PlayStation exclusive quest. Oh my god.
Yeah. Now I'm gonna play this on PlayStation. I already planned on playing this on PlayStation, and I play PlayStation. I don't like that it's exclusive. So one, when games come out like timed exclusives and things like that, to me, all that means is that PlayStation is going to be the playtesters, and when it finally comes out on the other systems like Deathloop and things like that, they get the perfect version.
Oh, yeah.
Where we had to get through all the bugs. Now, besides that, with this being an exclusive quest, if anything's wrong with it, let's say there's some like bugs throughout the game, right? Hopefully nothing game breaking, but like bugs throughout the game. And that part also has bugs. That's going to be the last thing on the agenda to fix, because they got to make sure the stuff works on every system, the things that every system can get.
Yeah.
But then they can focus on that. So that's like the other thing is because it's exclusive, it's not going to be that detailed. Like, look what they did with Spider-Man for Avengers, the Marvel Avengers game. Already a bad game, but then they took the exclusive character and they were just like, oh, no story. He's just in there and can do some stuff. So it's like, is this game going to do the same thing? Here's this exclusive mission, but it's going to take you 5 minutes to get through and it's super easy. Because they're not going to put that much care into it because not everybody can get to it. And for PlayStation, it's just enough that they get something solo. So I don't like that it's an exclusive mission because I feel like it's just not going to add anything.
It's done just to sell it to, like, get people to buy it on the platform more than.
Yeah, and I already plan to. Like, I plan on getting on there. The people who are going to get it on PC are not going to now get it on PlayStation because they're missing out on a mission because
it still would be a side quest at best, right? Wouldn't it still just be a side quest at best? Like, it can't be a main.
So not only is it already a side quest, it lets me know this side quest has zero impact really on anything in the story, and it's probably going to be like way later post game to not affect anything in the story, right? Because if it's an extra mission and let's say you need experience in this game, that's one extra mission you can get experience that other people can't and everything, so therefore you get an advantage on like later stuff. So that means it's going to be like post game, or it's just a side quest that has zero impact on anything, and all of that is because it's exclusive. And that's what I do. If it wasn't exclusive, then it would be a much more exciting thing, because you know they're going to put some care into it, but nope.
Yeah, that's interesting. So I guess we'll see. Is that more for people who pre-order, or is it just on the platform period?
It's on the platform period.
Okay. Well, it'll be cool in the long run when everything goes on sale, I guess. But it does kind of suck when it comes to, like, when we talk about game preservation and you're looking at 15 plus years from now. And it's like, well, you're only going to be playing on PC or something, like when you play the older stuff. And it's like, well, now it doesn't have all of its content in a way, unless they've done some sort of mod or some sort of thing to bring it back into coding, which usually the PC community does by that time.
But, so this will be a PC and PlayStation mission.
Yeah, so somebody's going to have some homework out there, I guess. So,
yeah.
Other than that, I guess the next game, now this was probably the lowest point in the show for me because I kind of just dismissed it altogether. It was called Specific Ride, I guess.
Pacific Drive?
Pacific
Drive. I'm going to be the opposite from you. Yeah, I'm going to be the opposite from you. I think this is going to be a sleeper hit.
Really?
Like, I mean, like, so from it, I didn't know what was going on, but it looked like it was like, you know, the world is bad and you have to be in the car and dodge, like, the world ending and everything. So it's just like you're trying to live while driving. But, like, depending on how this is, it could be a really fun driving mechanic survival game where you're just going to have to, like, it's almost like platforming from the inside of a car. And I think, like, if done correctly, it's going to be different enough that this could be, like, not maybe, like, you know, it's like, oh, this is Game of the Year 2023, but I think there's going to be, like, the people who get it will really enjoy it. Or it's going to be really bad. But I think it could be a sleeper hit.
I just dismissed it altogether simply because it was a driving game. I'm going to be honest. I kind of just dismissed it. I was like, well, you drive.
And I think for me, it was like, it's a different type of driving game. Like, I think it's not something you really, like, seen before, right? It's a driving survival, like, platformer. Like, that doesn't usually happen. So I think it could potentially be great. But I can also see, like, it just being, like, boring if you're doing the same thing over and over.
Well, speaking of a driving platformer, you get to play as a car in Kirby, the game, and I'm going to talk about that later on in the show. So for anybody who still wants to try to do that, I got you covered. I'm going to talk about it in a minute. But yeah, the next one I also kind of just thrown away too, because I think it was Synduality. Like, it was.
I don't remember what that's about.
That was the one where you was like inside of a mech suit, and it was like third person shooter, but it was like
Oh yeah,
the
it
mech
was No
one.
Man's Sky in a mech suit.
Yeah, it looked a little stiff. It was kind of stiff for me, so I was just like,
Yeah,
I don't know. So yeah, I was just like, yeah, I don't know about this one, but
uh,
I don't know. Did you like it? Did you want to play that? Because I
no.
was just
So I don't want
okay.
to. It looked like No Man's Sky, where you just
Yeah,
like go planet to planet, fight some wildlife if they try and hit you, and then mine for stuff. It looks like that, but instead of in a spacesuit, you're in a mech suit. That's all. Like, it doesn't look like anything different.
yeah. It didn't really hit for me. But coming off of that, they had the game Stellar Blade, and that was the one that I thought the character kind of resembles Bayonetta in a way, but she was a
Uh,
little bit more like everything looks more high res and a little bit more higher in the frame rate too. So it was like, okay, I'm feeling this one. I'm actually feeling this
this was
more
the
than
game.
Bayonetta, to be honest. But yeah,
This was the game that used to be Project Eve, right?
yes. So it has its real name now,
Yeah.
finally. So yeah, so that one is there. I believe they called this one a PlayStation exclusive. It was two games here that were PlayStation exclusives that was new. So this one was one of them. Technically, we have seen it before. And then there was the Rise of the Ronin. And
Oh,
like,
choose the next one. Yeah.
so Rise of the Ronin, I remember it didn't show too much as far as like, it wasn't really gameplay. It was more just trailer footage. But what I liked about it is by the time we got to this point, right after that, that's when they showed their biggest thing, which was God of War. But there was such a maturity, like it was such a mature, like like audience that they was going after. It was like they didn't forget about us, like M-rated type, T
Yeah.
rating, M-rated gamers. Like they were really,
Yep.
like they really had that there. So this one was probably the darkest looking one because they were straight about to chop my man's head off at one point. But
Yep.
it was dark. It was just overall it felt gritty and it felt like like there's some crazy stuff happening here. And so I was into it. I was into it.
Yeah.
Um they showed well before how do you feel about this one before I go to God of War?
So it looked good. I don't know, like I guess because of the time period and kind of the topic, it was very easy to compare it to Like a Dragon, Ishin.
Okay.
Only because it was like the two games that both took place like towards the like end of the samurai period, right? And but both of them you're a samurai. Like it was kind of like almost like sort of the same, except like in the other one you had a sword and a gun. So you
Yeah.
had a sword. So it looked like it was like the more serious toned version of Like a Dragon. So it seemed pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looked good and it looked like intense. So, well, it'll probably be something like when it's more on sale. Definitely like give it a try out for sure.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, and then last but not least, they have their biggest game of the year, God of War. They showed the controller first, and then they showed the game.
Yeah,
And so the controller,
I think that controller looked nice. I think it
yeah,
looked
it did.
nice.
It looks really nice. It looks nice. The only reason, so there was two reasons why I wanted to pass on it. The main one I said in the other videos that I would rather save my money for the DualSense Edge, which I think we're going to talk about in a
Oh,
second. Yeah, I guess we could talk about that briefly right now. So they also announced at some point before that they were going to do their own version of like an Elite controller, the DualSense Edge
yeah,
controller, where you can customize how you want to play and like you'll have the back pedals, it'll have the trigger locks, and it'll have like you can switch out the joysticks and everything. So with that controller, we don't know the price of it yet. That's another thing. It always comes down to that, doesn't it? It's always like, man, everybody's always hiding their price. And that's the only
Yep.
thing that everybody cares about. It's like, we ain't worried about anything you said. How much is it going to cost? And so, yeah, we don't know the price of it. I'm speculating that it's going to be $200 at most.
I think so.
Some people
I
probably
think it's
want
gonna
it
at
to
least double. Like I think it's at least double the price of
a regular one.
regular controller. So like a 160 at least.
Yeah, they would be smart to price it at 150, but this is Jim Ryan we talking about, the same Jim Ryan that's been crying about everything lately. So
Ugh.
it might just be 200, like you might say. If it's 200, I'll have to like save around for it. The thing is, I don't really when it comes to the shooters, because so for anybody who made this far, please hit the like button. I am going to do a comparison video. It's gonna be brief. It's just gonna be my thoughts on both this one and the Xbox's one. But on the PS4, they did a controller attachment that was called the back button. It was literally called the back button, and it was $30. It came out like very, very late in the generation. I think in 2019, early 2019, and it was like, here's something you could put on the controller. It got sold out for like a split second, and then people completely forgot about. And I think you can get it for like $20 now, where it used to be 30. But unless you really play competitively online, and you never want to just push, change your, or like lose your what's the word? You don't want to lose your aim or your focus on something by taking your finger off to press. You don't really need it. But for me, like when I was playing with the back button on PS4, it was like, I don't need it because I don't play shooters that hardcore like that. It's like it didn't feel like it was that big of a deal. But I do, however, like the tension when it comes to the Elite controller and stuff. Like when it has, you could tighten the tensions up on the actual Joy-Con, and then you can add more weight to it. Like I love it when the controller has some weight to it. Like I have some of the third-party controllers, like for Nintendo Switch. I have a third-party controller that allows you to put like it allows you to put your headphone jack into the controller itself if you had like wired headsets. It's like Nintendo don't got that for their first party, right? Like their first party controllers, but you can get it through some of their third party ones who like make a controller for them, like Power A, for example. I think that's the one I have. It's a Power A controller. Like that one has like almost no weight to it. It feels light as a feather. It has no weight in the part where you hold onto it or whatever. So like I kind of don't like that. I only put up with it because that's the only way I can have like the headset in my ears. On Nintendo, right? But with some of these other controllers, the Edge, the Elite, they have some weight to them. They feel premium. They feel like quality, because they have some heaviness to it. So that's something I'm looking forward to. For the DualSense Edge, are you going to get a DualSense Edge?
No. So I don't plan on getting it because again, I don't really play like that many shooters, and even when I do, I'm not on like in competitive stuff. Like I'm not playing online shooters. A lot of stuff I do is like solo, or it'll be like against a computer when I'm on a team. So like I don't need like that extra like boost to like making sure I can like fire quickly. And I'm too used to like like L2 aim, R2 shoot, that I don't want to have to train myself to learn differently for shooting. So yeah, I don't plan on getting that. I do like the God of War one. But
yeah. I'm sorry, I was saying like you do still control how you customize your own buttons though, so you wouldn't really change the layout. It's usually for everybody I've seen, it's the button that you jump. It's the button where you jump, and it's the button where you duck. It's those two that they really want to really remap. Everything else don't really need to be mapped like that, unless you want to swap weapons too. Like but it's whatever, The PowerA controllers have those button swap things, but again, those controllers have no weight in them. It's like if they put a marble magnet or whatever they put at the end, those little weights. If they put them little things on the end of it, then maybe it'll have some weight to it. But it is what it is. The God of War controller did look good. The other reason why I don't want to get it is because my controllers, I have 2 controllers already that are both white controllers, and I want to get like a black controller next if I get one. Even with the DualSense Edge, I would prefer that one to be all black. I'm hoping they come out with an all black model of that, or any other color. I don't want to be another white controller because I got 2 of them. But yeah, and and then they show God of War, the actual God of War at the end of this. So it's just more hype for the game. This trailer was probably the best trailer for me because they showed you a little bit more story, and then they showed you like the moves in a more, like it was more effectively shown here. Like where other times it was just kind of like they were just showing that you're doing moves. Where here it felt a little bit more dramatic. Like it felt like it had some purpose or whatever. So
I was afraid that, like, to be honest, I was afraid that a huge chunk of the game would be you playing as like Atreus instead. Yeah, and they're gonna do so. So it was nice to see all those different locations and Kratos still there. Like I was really afraid. So that helped ease my mind for this game. And the different locations are good. It seemed like the enemies were slightly like different. Like it didn't, for what they showed off, it didn't feel as much of a like, this is the ice version and this is the fire version and this is the forest version. Like they felt slightly different. And I like that you just start off. It looks like you just start off with your weapons. It's not going to be like one of them went into hiding again. Like, yeah. So that seems nice.
I do think you're still gonna play Atreus. I actually also think that I think the Thor fight is at the beginning of the game because it's technically at the very end of the last game. Spoilers, right? So I think that's gonna be at the very beginning, and I actually think Atreus is the person who's going to wield the hammer, Mjolnir.
Okay.
I don't think it's going to be Kratos, and if he wields it, then technically both people play the same way, in a way, and it makes it easier for them to switch you back. But I don't know if it's still going to be like Abby and Ellie from Last of Us, like a split down the middle. But I do think he's going to have some extended sections, and then you'll play as him and he'll have the hammer. That's just me speculating, but yeah. I'm still not that big of a fan of Atreus myself, but it is what it is. The Thor fight probably gonna be cool. So,
yeah, I think so.
I'm looking.
I think that looked good.
I'm looking forward to that. But speaking of the controllers, I guess we can bunch this in with it. So PlayStation still at one point released a trailer showing off their camouflage controller as well as their console cover and the headset.
Yeah.
And
they got a special designed one like for it. A special design controller, cover, headset, bundle, and man does it look boring.
Yeah, my understanding you think it looks boring. That's what I was going to say. But go ahead and tell us how boring this is. Go ahead. You get canceled.
So it was just, I don't know, like they already had a few covers that they were like showing off that match controller colors already that they already came out with. That light blue, the purple, the red, the black one. And now they're like, their first like specialty designed one that's not just like a color swap. Like it's super, like this is the one that's gonna have the image on it or a pattern, and it's gonna look so great. And the first one they do is gray camo, and it was like, oh, you couldn't do something better than that, like black and lime green. I guess they wouldn't do black and lime green because Xbox, but black and blue camo, or God of War themed or Horizon themed. Like you could have released a cover that went with the controller and a headset that went with the controller. I don't know. It feels like the most generic possible thing they could have, because like they always release colored controllers like every year, and it was like you had to start with gray. Like you could have done better than that. Like a lot of this could have been better. Even like a black one that was like a black camo that was primarily black and like maybe smoke gray or something like that would have looked cool. But just a generic light gray, dark gray, like it just feels like the most boring. Like if they really wanted to do gray, it should have been like how they did on the PS4. They released a controller that was the same colors as the original PlayStation, so they could have done that. A cover that was gray and then had the red, blue, yellow, or like whatever for the original logo and stuff like that, and make it like PlayStation 1 themed. That would have been vastly better as their first one than gray. Like the first one should not have been gray camo. That should have been thrown in at some point. Like here's another one you can get. That shouldn't be the first one that gets its own trailer.
Yeah, I didn't really care too much for it. I just I saw it and I was just like, oh, okay, and was pretty much done with it. It was kind of cool that they had a whole set, so I don't know if it's going to be sold like a set, where it's the controller, the headset, and the plates or covers. If I had any gripe to say about this at all, it would just be, it wouldn't be on this per se, it would be just, why isn't the console covers sold in retail stores? I don't know if anybody realizes, because I haven't seen one yet in any store. So that's just me. That would be my only thing. Is just, well, even if I did want it, like, is where am I getting it? Only from PlayStation Direct? Like, put it in the stores and then I'll get one. You know, I don't really want one yet. I know a majority of the people went for black. I'll probably do that during like the mid-gen refresh. It's like, okay, at the midway point, I'll get some new covers, you know, the Edge controller maybe at that time if I don't get it earlier, and then like put the SSD in it or something when that's a little bit cheaper too. And it's like, now I upgraded it and now mine feels like a mid-gen, even though they probably gonna do something else. But I didn't really.
But that's the other thing. So, like, I've always missed out on when they sold the special designed PlayStation that was like for a big game. So this was like the way that I feel like they could do it to where no one really has to miss out, even if they only release a few. Because it's not like I need to go buy a whole new system just to get the special design one. I can just get the plates. But again, like, notice what you said. You said you saw it and then you just kind of moved on because there was nothing exciting about it because it was your great camo. Like, if it was something that looked better, like, I feel like it would have been a little bit more excitement, but it was very much, Like, I guess it's cool they're releasing a set, like, but if it was just something that would have been much, they could have just made it much better.
Yeah, I guess it is what it is, but the last thing I wanted to put into this section, because the section is already long enough as it is, there's one other thing I wanted to put here, because I don't think we really got your input on this, because it's technically been 2 weeks for us, but with all of this going on with PlayStation, why is Jim Ryan still crying about Call of Duty? Can we talk about that for a second? They didn't release this nice show and everything, but he's been going on and on and on and on. And here's the thing about it for me, because I have these kind of arguments all the time with people I know. It's a difference between having that type of conversation with a fanboy maybe versus like a whole president of the company that's complaining. Like the one person that's like, you should have everything. You have everything that you need and everything. Like to hear it coming from him, it just seems so like you don't respect your own first party lineup in a way. Like it seems disrespectful to something like God of War to me when you don't show that it has its own faith in your own platform. Call of Duty is still one of the biggest games. I cannot deny that. I think there's like 5 games that are basically the be all end all for all of gaming, which is basically the sports, Call of Duty, and GTA. So it's like, yeah, if you own one of them, you pretty much have it. But at the same time, it's like, dude, like, cause you know he ain't caring about. I have to go there a little bit. I don't want to be political, but I don't feel like he care about the gamer as much as he just care about the money Call of Duty brings in. That's all I think he cares about.
He doesn't care about gamers at all. This dude's a crybaby. And, like, also, didn't, like, Xbox and Activision, don't they keep saying, like, we're not making Call of Duty exclusive? And he's just, no. And throwing a fit. It's like, if anything, if you really cared and you want your system to be the best system and you have a fear of losing Call of Duty, that should be inspiration for PlayStation to try and make the best, like, new shooter. And everything. Let's make one that's going to be our PlayStation shooter because we think we're going to lose this one. And, like, they're already assured the next ones will still be on there, but there could be a chance that the ones after that are not. So that gives you 4 years to design something amazing for PlayStation people. And it could be on the level of how PUBG was for PC people before it got moved over to consoles, where it was just like, this is your game. Like, it should get to the point where it's like Call of Duty. Like, nah, I don't need to play Call of Duty. I got a PlayStation. I play this. And then, like, it shows that you're really into, like, other than that, you make these exclusives, you try and be like, no, we're holding this for our system, we're holding this for our system, we get the exclusive mission in this game, and then all of a sudden when it's like, yeah, we should buy Call of Duty, it's like, no, like, shut up, man. He's annoying.
It just comes off cringe simply because he is the president under PlayStation or Sony. That's the only reason why. Because it's like, if it was anybody else, if it was some of the YouTubers or journalists,
it's expected.
Yeah, it's almost expected in a way, but it's just like, yo, not the president. It's like, because the way it sounds to me is like, well, none of the other games matter as much. They probably don't like make as much money. But you don't have faith in it going forward. You don't have no faith in none of them. That's what it sounds like to me. And I guess the thing that came out was just, I guess Phil Spencer made an offer to keep it on PlayStation even longer than the actual deal. And so PlayStation or Jim Ryan is not liking the deal. Because I guess he wanted to keep it on PlayStation an additional 3 years, which, if you look at it, it would have been the entire generation anyway. So a PlayStation fan would have still had access for the whole generation, according to what they were trying to do. Which, I mean, you might say, yeah, it might just be because they're trying to, like, appease regulators or whatever, and Jim saying whatever he can, Phil saying whatever they can. It's just like, dude, like, it cringes me a little bit, because it's like, as a president of the company, it undermines everything else. You know, it just undermines it. Even if something like, let's say, like Horizon probably didn't do as good as Elden Ring, right? So it didn't beat Elden Ring when it needed to. Fine. But you're making it seem like now you're telling basically your company as well as the fan base, well, something like Horizon is so insignificant that it'll never hold a candle to Call of Duty, which is probably true. Let's say it probably is true, but it's different when
you don't need to say that. Believe in your company.
Yeah, it's different when the president says it. Like, you hear the talk of these type of things coming from the fanboy, but not the president. Like, not the president of the whole thing. Because you do give Xbox some ammunition, because you're the one who knows all the numbers. You know all the secondary deals that they do, the ones that have been done, the ones that are in the works, the ones that they're trying to do going forward. And you basically tell the general public that none of it compares to Call of Duty. That's basically what you say. I mean, Call of Duty is a monster. But hey, you basically told everybody you didn't gave up on everything else. You didn't gave up on Destiny. Destiny would be the answer of anything. You didn't gave up on Destiny before you could do anything with it, really. Even if it's multiplayer, I guess. You still, like, you gave up. You gave up on the idea of a return to Killzone. We haven't heard anything about Resistance, SOCOM.
Right. So, think about it. They took 4 years to make, like, Killzone, like, amazing and everything to get people like, this is the one you want to play. Take everything that's great about Call of Duty, take everything that was loved about Killzone, and fuse them together into this just amazing game. And instead, no, you're just going to sit here and cry because you don't get to have.
But all they got to do like is give Call it I think they can get away with just giving it a whole new title. Like they just, because all it has to do is be a shooter. Give it a whole new title and just, it just seemed like, well, it don't even seem like they trying to do that. Like you thought they were trying to do that, but it don't even sound like it. It sounds like they just trying to keep Call of Duty as much as they can, and then they'll think about it. It's like, even if you got Call of Duty back, or Call of Duty remains multiplayer, like you still need your own shooter anyway. It's like that doesn't change at all. You still kind of need your own shooter. So I don't know. We don't have to harp on it too long. We already went like half the time on just PlayStation section alone, but. Yeah, so that goes into my next topic, which I want to talk about in a second, but I want to pause and just jump ahead to Kirby real quick. Just let me talk about it for a second, because the video footage just went on the screen, so I just wanted to mention my video game recommendation for this week is going to be Kirby and the Forgotten Lands. I think it's Forgotten Lands.
Hey!
Yes. Yeah. Look at the box. I almost
Forgotten Lands or Forgotten Realms or
no, it's Forgotten Lands. It's Forgotten Lands. I will say it's a fun little game. It's a cool little platformer, but man, does it feel like Last of Us in a way. Like it feels like they made it the most cute, cuddly version. But you know why I say that? There's this moment in the game where you go and upgrade your like Kirby weapons or whatever, like the helmets. And they do the same kind of workbench that you would do in Last of Us. And it was like, it made me think about it that fast. But what's cool about it, though, is that the developers can look at something like Last of Us and then say, well, how do we bring this to an audience of Nintendo? And then they'll take something like Kirby and you know, you take Kirby, make them 3D, and you're just having a good old time just playing around in like this world that it reminds me of it so much. And I think, you know what makes it funny? I think it's because of The Last of Us Part 1 coming out, and I was watching so much gameplay on it from like some of my favorite people or whatever. So, yeah, but not to make this anything about Last of Us. It's all about Kirby. I definitely do recommend this. If you are a fan of platformers, I am a huge fan of just platformers in general. I do recommend this because of that. I want platformers to live, and I don't think Kirby is hurting too much. It didn't get as much sales in the beginning because it was still in Elden Ring territory, but I think overall it's still a must play on Nintendo for Nintendo fans. What they do though is they take a little bit of Odyssey and like Super Mario Odyssey, and then they mix it in with a little bit of Dark Souls, believe it or not. And it's like you fight some bosses throughout it, and then they have like the challenges where you got to go back and fight the bosses without taking any damage, that type of thing.
Okay.
And so, yeah, so that's what makes it more Dark Soulsy, because it's like it's very easy to fight a boss. It's another story where the objective is to not get hit once. So,
right.
So yeah, so it's pretty cool. Definitely a must play. Kirby and the Forgotten Lands. Now, I have to also mention this first real quick as well. This game sort of came and went, and Nintendo went real silent about it. But Kirby Dream Buffet, remember that? The one that looked like Fall Guys? Yes. So it did come out, and it was sort of confirmed that yes, it is a Fall Guys ripoff. and it was basically
Uh-huh.
meant just for their like online or whatever. But you could still buy this. This game was $15 at launch, bro. Like it literally was a ripoff. Like you could tell too, because that's
Oh,
like Nintendo didn't even like put no real money behind it. It was just like, here you go. And I guess it launched with a lot of frame rate issues as well. Like it wasn't holding frame
okay.
rate, and it's still an online
Yikes.
game, but it was just like it was issues with it. So definitely play Kirby Forgotten Land. I'm not too sure about that Dream Buffet though. You might want to just stick with regular Fall Guys if you like Fall Guys. Um,
Speaking of, Fall Guys
yes.
just released season 2. Although I remember, so after season 6, they restarted because they went to a free to play model. So it
Yeah.
started at season 1, and now they released season 2, and it's all like space themed and stuff. And of course, if you pay for like the battle pass or pay for things, they got like an alien or like a xenomorph outfit and like all this other stuff. But and for not putting any money into it, for the free side of it, it's still fun. So they're still supporting that game, and it's probably going to be much better than Kirby.
Yeah, so I'm not sure about that one. The main Kirby game is cool, but not so much this one. There's another Kirby game that we're going to talk about in the Nintendo section, but um yeah, so I wanted to mention that real quick. Now we can jump back to the other topic that was like right. Well, I guess we can go to Nintendo since we on Nintendo. Why not? Because we got Nintendo
All
footage
right.
playing. So all right, so
Yeah.
Nintendo did
So,
their show. Yes.
and yeah, I don't think we need to go through every game like we do with PlayStation because there was like 32 of them. Like we can if you
Yeah,
want to.
I don't
Uh,
want to because at some point it was just like, okay, you know what, port. That's
yeah.
how I felt,
So
and I'm just like, dude,
it was a bunch of ports. Like there was one that was like a game only released in Japan, and you can
yeah,
now play here front mission first and second, and it just looked like the oldest thing in the world. And I was like, do we want to play that here now? Like
I
I don't
don't
think we
know.
want to.
Now, to be
Did you
fair, because
notice? Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say just to be fair, because I didn't want to just trash on them
To be fair,
altogether. I did think that
uh,
the Fire Emblem start of the show was okay. I thought that was okay. I thought it was cool. Like
okay,
the
yeah, Fire
first
Emblem looked
game.
good.
The first game I think they showed. Immediately after that it did go straight into ports. I think they went straight to
Yeah,
It Takes Two.
like so. So
Yeah.
that was the thing. So one, It Takes Two, SpongeBob's Cosmic Shake,
Yeah.
Tunic, Resident Evil Village, the cloud version, and Sifu. They all just looked like visual downgrades.
Yeah.
Like It Takes Two, I didn't even think that was that visually like amazing. It looked like a cartoon, but I was like, how did your cartoon just look so blurry? Like it just
Yeah.
looked like a bad version.
Sifu was a surprise though. That one actually was a
Yeah.
surprise. I wasn't expect. I thought that was like PlayStation and PC only. I did not expect it to go to Switch of all places. It is funny because it's like, what Jim Ryan, what's going on with Seafood not getting an Xbox release? Why you sitting over here crying about Call of Duty? But yeah, so Sifu is one of the mini games that's going to be skipping Xbox again. But or I don't know. You know what? I don't know. Let's wait for the announcement. I don't know, but it is on every other platform now. Um, but yeah, there was the Fatal Frame as well that
Uh-huh.
was ported from 2011 or something. The only thing I said about that one, and there was another one I think called IB or something, IB. It was
Yeah.
just like
Yeah.
at least they were more mature based because they were horror-ish games to an extent, and Nintendo kind of showed
Right.
them off there. That was the only thing I can give it. Other than that, neither one of them looked like something I want to really play. I'm gonna be honest. It was at least it looks more like it's not for a little kid like the Kirby game on screen. But yeah, so Xenoblade 3 has some DLC that they announced. So Xenoblade is brand new, and so they well, it's not brand new, but it just came out. Is what I meant by that. So they show some DLC for that. There was like 3 or 4 games. I don't have none of their titles, but they were all farming simulators. It was just like
Yes.
all
There
farming.
was Oh, I have a few of them. Was
Yeah,
Tales of Symphonia one of them? I feel like it
probably,
was.
probably because
I
I
think it
ain't
was
write
like
them all
Tales of
down.
Symphonia. Was
I,
Altelia Ryza 3? I
yeah,
know
that.
the Various Day Life. Various Day Life was one of them.
Yeah, I think you got that right though.
Harvestella. Harvestella as
Yeah,
well.
that was
It's just
shown
so many
before
ones like
too.
live on a
Yeah,
farm.
it was just like so many of them doing the same thing, and they kind of showed them all back to back. And then you can almost put this in that category in a way. It's like it wasn't really farming, but you're in the grass. They spent a lot of time on Pikmin. They had a mobile Pikmin
Right.
game, and then they announced Pikmin 4 and made it seem like a big deal. And it was just like, well, I guess Pikmin is alive again. I guess I don't know, but
Yeah,
um,
they made Pikmin Go, like basically a Pokemon Go ripoff. But with Pikmin.
yeah, man, is Pikmin a day one buy for you, man? Are you excited about Pikmin 4?
Absolutely not. I do not care. Like at all.
I don't know. I remember Pikmin just being a new title on GameCube, and it was just always there,
Uh-huh.
and they treated it like a big deal then, and I was just kind of like not into it. And then it just sort of just
Yeah.
was on Nintendo, and you see it every now and then, but I
I'm
wasn't
gonna
really
be
into
honest.
it.
This show had 32 like different games, and even
Yeah.
more because I kind of packaged everything that came from the N64 together because it was like it was GoldenEye and other stuff. So
Yeah.
it was 30, but I just said it was about 32 games, and to be honest, only about 11 of them should have been in the show. And like, yeah, I mean, even then it wouldn't have been the best show, but
Yeah.
they could have cut out a lot of this fluff. Like they could have easily just been like, "Hey, check out all these games that are about to come out," and it would have flashed like a bunch of names on the screen, and then you could watch the individual trailers on the channel as you want. They
Yeah.
didn't need to be part of the show. Uh,
GoldenEye, I want to save that for last because that's gonna go into the next topic. But they did show quite a few, like I guess N64 games that were technically a big deal during their time. But if somebody is excited, they did have like Pokemon Stadium 1 and 2 in that. And I know those two games, at least on the eBay like aftermarket scene, are like very, very expensive. Like if you tried to get them at like a mom and pop store, like mom and pop store is probably mad now because now they got this game that they probably can't sell as high. But it was expensive. It was expensive on the aftermarket scene. The one that was really funny though, they bust out this Fist of the North Star boxing game to help you like get in shape. I guess like it was just like, what is this? It was kind of funny to me. I was just like, what? Like, and that one was just like I immediately said Taibo, and I was like, you know, showing my age with it, but I was just like, yo, they did a Taibo game, I guess.
but for the next stuff,
I was like, y'all already got this.
that's
Okay.
all. Tybo was the North Star.
The other highlight I had was so Octopath Traveler 2 is coming. When I originally said I thought they already had this, I was actually referring to the first one. So that was probably my mistake in the vid. I think I said that in the vid. Like I thought this was already on the system. I meant the first one. Like I didn't realize it was Octopath Travelers 2, like a new game. And what's so bad about it is because there was so much stuff that was ported on this show that I automatically looked at that one as the port as well, like the first one. So I was just like, well, all right, it's another port. But it's like, no, this is technically it's technically another game. I do want to say real quick that SpongeBob Cosmic Shake, I might be the only person in this world that's actually looking forward to playing this, but I'm not looking forward to playing it on the Switch. I want to play it probably on PlayStation or Xbox. I wanted it at 60 frames. I'm sorry. So, yeah. Although I will say, I don't know if that is going to be, if they're going to put it on the Switch, then they should probably put it on PS4 and Xbox One. So I don't expect that to be like next gen only. And then also, it probably should be $60 across the board too. I don't expect it to be 70. If somebody try to pull a $70 markup on SpongeBob, good luck, because yeah. So yeah, the last thing here would have probably been the GoldenEye. So that was more of a surprise to me because I pretty much looked at licensed games as if they were just like stuck in the past. But I believe there's a big deal going on with GoldenEye that like goes into the next topic, which was Xbox, because GoldenEye is going to go on the Switch is online, and then it's also being released on Game Pass at the same time. But if any Xbox fans have been paying attention, there's more to this story because apparently there is an achievement list that was already leaked on a GoldenEye remake that's supposed to be coming out. And that's supposed to still be a secret, but I believe that's like on the Xbox ecosystem for now. I don't know if there's going to be a cloud version that goes on Nintendo because of whatever their deal is, but I know part of the holdup for the game was because of Nintendo, from what I remember. And in my head, I'm like, can't y'all just not call it GoldenEye and it could just be 007 something else? Like, the name GoldenEye is so big that they had to keep the name on there. I mean, in real life, it's just going to be another shooter, but it's going to be made by different people or whatever. But
I know there's going to be probably some people who are excited because they want to play GoldenEye, and it's like a way, I guess, like a parent can play with their kid and show off that they're like much better at this than them.
It's probably a big deal in name itself, but in reality, it's like it cannot be the same producers. Obviously, it was like so long ago, and then on top of it, like the only thing that I could think would be the same is the fact that they could still use the same theme song and the same iconic shot where they have like like there's a scope on James Bond, and then when he gets to the middle of the screen, he turns and shoots the guy. You know,
I mean, but that's how the trailer opened.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying, like, as far as like a newer game, like other than that, it's a shooter. It's almost like what PlayStation was supposed to be doing instead of worried about Call of Duty. It's like, well, you're supposed to be making your shooter. So now, like, I guess that one's gonna be on Xbox. I think there might be a Switch version, but I assume it's gonna be cloud because everything that's high powered is cloud on their system now. So, except for I can't say that because then there is The Witcher 3, which I don't think that's cloud. But yeah, so GoldenEye is making a comeback as a name, so I can't wait to see what the remake looks like. And yeah, they're gonna do online. You could play it online, I guess, on Switch and Game Pass. So I don't know how that's gonna work, but
interesting.
Maybe they opened it up and they figured it out. So going into Xbox, before I go into the Tokyo Game Show, Xbox also released a new version of their Elite controller, which is called the Elite Controller Core. And they showed off a white model of this, and we learned that they slashed the price down to $129.99, leaving the other components to be sold separately, which you can buy for $60, and it'll come with all the extra pieces that you don't normally get with an Elite, like a regular Elite 2, which is just the extra, like the extra not the back paddles. What is it? The extra case, and then the extra Joy-Cons, all your swappable stuff. You could swap the D-pad out, so the extra D-pad, like all those extra components, they've separated it to make sure that you can get a cheaper price here if you wanted to get your hands on just the controller itself. But I can imagine there's minimum like customization here if you don't get the other parts. So it makes the price a little bit more attractive. But so that is that for that. But at the same time, they also introduced design labs with this controller. Now, this is where I am more interested in, because then you get to customize it as well coming out of the design lab, and then you get that version as well. So that's probably going to cost about $10 or $15 more, however they do it. But if I get a Elite 2, I thought for me I would have wanted them to do Elite 3, but I don't know. I guess maybe they don't need to. Maybe it's not, not broke, don't fix it. So they're doing there, but the interesting thing about it was that they have a version of this controller that's $129.99, and it made me think about the PlayStation Edge, and I was like, well, they can't raise the price that much now, can they? Because your competitor is bringing out a version of this controller where it's like $129. So, you want to not be too much farther past the $179.99 point of where the original price was, at least. But we'll see. We will see.
Probably also, I don't know, I'm thinking $199.
Yeah, we'll see.
Everybody's gonna be $200.
Everybody's $200. So yeah. So other than that, I want to go into the Tokyo show. So did you see? You didn't see the Tokyo show, right?
I did not.
Okay, I saw the Tokyo show, so it wasn't too much going on that we haven't already seen. But I do want to start off with the first thing that they showed, which was they were showing off Persona 5 Royal. So Persona 5 Royal is on Xbox's ecosystem now. You can play that in Game Pass. And then also...
Yes. Let me talk about that really quick.
Sure.
Let me talk about that. So if I had to recommend a game, real quick, Persona 5 Royal, if you're into turn-based games and like anime, because this game has become like my life at the moment. Like, I think I'm almost 60 hours in. Like, it's so easy for me to just get lost into, because it's like it plays out like a movie. Like, even for games where there is like a lot of dialogue and things like that, like everything you say kind of feels a bit impactful, and it's like playing out, and I'm enjoying it. And then like the turn-based battles don't really throw me off too much. It's like playing Pokemon. But like I'm really digging the story. And it's like I'm interested to see what happens next. And I haven't lost that interest. Like 59 hours in. So I can definitely suggest that one. And I think when they do release on Switch, I think I'll be going back to at least play Persona 4 Golden, and then maybe Persona 3 as well. But this actually got me more excited for that. What was it? The Shin Megami Tensei 5 game, where it already looked okay, but knowing that it's connected to this universe as well, made me go, well, maybe I should take the time to go play this.
Pause. What did you call it? What did you call
it? Shin Megami Tensei 5 or something like that?
Ooh, they're gonna rip us apart if they hear this.
What was it called?
Shin Megami Tensei 5.
That was close. Megumi. They were super close. They were
what did he say?
Close. They were super close. That was okay. Man. You made it sound like I used the three words were still the same, and the other one was a U instead of an E. My bad. Oh, big deal. Anyways, I'm more into Persona regardless.
It ain't me as they hardcore fan base that's going to destroy you. It's not me. I'm cool.
Bring it.
You say it.
Bring it. I do not care. Oh well, I said the wrong word. My bad. It's not in a language I speak. But yeah, no, the Persona 5, solid game. So, all right, back to what you said about the show.
I'm not canceled. He's canceled. I'm cool.
Right. Whatever.
They also
really gonna get that bad. Like, deal with it. Go touch grass. All right, continue.
All right. So they also had, they had a game called Wu Long Dynasty. This is like more of a hack and slasher. I am so interested in this. It's another game that we've seen before. Mostly everything here I think we've seen before, but they just highlighted a few things for the audience here that they're trying to expand to. I think they did show off Forza Horizon 5 as well, and then another big game that they shown here was Power World. And you remember
Okay.
this was the game that kind of looks like Pokemon. There's some gunplay going on. There's some other stuff
Yeah,
going
I
on.
still want to play it.
I think you
I
can
still for sure want
catch
to play it.
you can catch the creatures in this too. From what I noticed, it was
Yeah.
something
Yep.
that I saw. So yeah, it almost reminds me. So it's almost like a Genshin Impact in a way, but for Pokemon, I guess. So yeah, so I'm interested in that. I remember when I was seeing the monsters in it, I was just like, man, like there's so many monster creatures out here in so many different games, including Pokemon. It's like you think that like there'll be no other way to make a unique monster, but I guess hey, everybody could just pump them out. I guess different mind can just make it.
Well,
But
I think what helps is the fact that the guy who makes Pokemon, I think his name is Shigemori. He has a big style, like a specific style that
yeah,
Pokemon need to look like. That these other people like they don't have to follow it, so it's very easy to make your own. Like they call them Fakemon. That if it doesn't follow Shigemori's style, then you can now use it in your own thing because he's very particular with certain stuff. So
yeah. So yeah, they showed that. They did end it with a bigger announcement, technically that goes past just the Tokyo Game Show, which was Deathloop. Deathloop is coming to Game Pass and the Xbox ecosystem, and so
yeah, man, enjoy.
I believe it's going to be there next week.
Okay.
Which makes me believe that I guess Ghostwire Tokyo is going to follow suit eventually. In maybe 4 or 5 months, I would imagine. But there's no official announcement on that either. But so far, Deathloop is coming. And so they're going to have their version of Deathloop on Game Pass. And then you can still play it on that ecosystem as well. So yeah, their show wasn't too long. I did think they pandered a little too much for my taste. But I did like what I saw as far as the games. They did have a lot of cool games there. So the biggest one still for me, Wulong Destiny and Pal World, I'm definitely into as well. I believe Pal World, from my understanding right now, is PC exclusive. This is interesting because it doesn't look that, downgraded, where usually when a PC exclusive is PC exclusive, it looks like Age of Empire. But
yeah,
so this one is not on any of the game systems yet. But I wouldn't mind having it on PC and play it on PC only. That would be kind of cool. I don't really got nothing on.
Yeah.
Do you got anything that's PC only? Like that's like really, really PC only that you like really mess with?
Nothing that I got into yet, but games that I plan on getting into, like Vampire the Masquerade.
Okay.
So that, and then I've been playing Divinity.
Okay.
I started that a while back, but then I got lost in Persona. But Divinity, Original Sin, now I think that one's PC only. I think it is. For sure, Vampire the Masquerade is. And I have a couple ones. So one that I do like that is, I think, PC exclusive. I could be wrong. Maybe it is on Xbox, but I think it's PC exclusive. It's called Battle Block Theater. It's a really fun platform with like a really goofy story.
All right. Well, speaking of something that's sure. Speaking of something that's PC exclusive that I forgot to mention before in the PlayStation section, there was a lot in the PlayStation section, but I just wanted to highlight there was a Spider-Man Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles mod that came out for the PlayStation or the PC version of Spider-Man 2018. So somebody did a mod that made it look like very, very close to being a real Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game. And all they really did was just, they cranked up their settings a little bit, and then you had this nice high resolution Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. I think it was Leonardo. Leonardo's the one with the swords, right? I think it was him.
Yeah.
And so basically, if you just played the game where you try to do the least amount of actual Spider-Man-y stuff, and this was tried to be like a combat fighter in a way, and try not to jump too hard and everything, like you would be more, it would seem like a Ninja Turtles game for a second. So it was pretty cool. It was pretty cool to see. And I remember, I think Ninja Turtles. So it's 3 games that I was advocating for, really. Full AAA 3D Ninja Turtles game, Power Rangers game, and then another Transformers game that was similar to Fall and War of Cybertron. It's like those are the 3 that I really want. And so to see at least one of these get some more attention, even though personally I would have wanted it to be Power Rangers the most, but at least one of these is getting some attention. Somebody out there might think to, try this, especially with the recent success of the Cowabunga edition as well as the Shredder game. So, yeah, so we might see it one day.
Might
see it.
That seems like it would be fun. If done correctly, it would be fun.
Yeah, other than that, I do want to mention, because we're technically past our halfway point, and usually at the halfway point I do this, but definitely hit the like button and share this out with a friend. Subscribe if you haven't already. But at the halfway point, I like to highlight the free games that you can get that are 100% free. And you don't even need a credit card, and that's usually coming from Epic Games, the one place the Steam community hates, from my understanding. But free is free, y'all. Free is free. And so, one of the games that I saw that was coming from this platform that you can get right now, you have until the 22nd of September in order to claim these. So the first one is going to be Spirit of the North. I think I got that. Spirit of the North Now? I don't know if I wrote that. Oh, no, I wrote that wrong. Spirit of the North, and then you got from now until the 22nd. I'm like, how did I write that?
Okay, that makes sense. All right.
So it's called Spirit of the North, and then the other game is called The Captain. And so you can claim these 2 until the 22nd, and then after that, they have Ark Survival Evolved, and I think I've already had that. But Ark Survival Evolved from September 22nd to the 29th, and then Gloom Haven.
Hey, I just talked about that.
The 22nd to the 29th. So you know about this one? Gloom Haven.
Yeah, so that was the game I was talking about earlier when I said in the real world version, it's a pain to set up, pain to put away, but it's a tabletop game that's like Dungeons and Dragons, kind of the adventure is written out for you. And you make choices on what you do, and you get to fight, and then like at the beginning of the game you're given like your hero's end journey, what he's trying to do. So like, for example, one of mine was like trying to get fame, like be known as like a battle warrior. So it was like they have elite enemies, and I had to beat so many of them throughout the campaign. And when you do that, it unlocks a new character type, and you're officially able to retire that character, and you can start a new character type that gets like a pump up because it was started new, things like that. So it's a really cool game that just do this, but it's hard. Like if you play this with people, expect to like fail a couple of times until you guys learn your strengths and weaknesses for these characters. Because even my character, he was like supposed to be a tank, but at the beginning you're kind of weak, so it's like, I'm a tank, I can take a hit, and then like instantly died. So I had to be revived. So yeah, but it's if you're into tabletop games, like very involved board games, this is one, and they turned it into digital. So I'm excited for that.
Okay, awesome. There technically is a couple more things that we skipped from PlayStation and Nintendo and even Xbox. I'm not doing my job correctly at all. All right, so I want to go back to Nintendo for a split second because there's not too much to talk about for this, but they're technically releasing also a Pokemon Violet and Scarlet Switch OLED. So this OLED is gonna have like a nice fancy little like the dock is gonna have like some fancy nice designs that I believe are the legendaries. And so it's gonna be blue and red, and it looks pretty good. Or not blue and red, purple and red. So it looks
cool. Yeah, like a burnt orange. Yeah, it does look nice. It's weird that like, I don't know, I think it is kind of weird to sell a whole system with this game. Like, I don't feel like anyone's like jumping in now. Like, I feel like everyone who's getting this game already has a Switch.
Yeah.
Like, this might have been something to release with Arceus, because there might have been people who were just like kind of paused on Pokemon, hearing that Sword and Shield didn't have anything, and they're like, we're done. But then when Arceus came out, it's like, here's new mechanics and all this other stuff. And it's like, okay, let me jump in and give Pokemon a try again, and I can get the new design Switch as well. But I feel like, I don't know, I wonder how many people are going to buy this OLED. Like, I'm sure there'll be a good chunk of people, but it's just I feel like those people already have a Switch.
I kind of wish you could buy the dock by itself. I wouldn't mind grabbing the dock, because I actually do need a second dock that I plan on getting. But I would get that dock. I would just get that dock. So, I don't know what.
You gotta get the whole system with it, don't you?
Yeah, I think it's all in one package. I don't think anybody's going to sell it that way unless you get it off of eBay. But,
I was going to say, unless you buy, I was going to say that, or you're buying it and then you sell the Switch itself, and because you just want the dock. But then that person's without a dock.
Yeah, and then if I talk about Xbox one more second, there was something I guess I'll mention real briefly. So, the head of 343 Studios, her name was Bonnie Ross. She is officially stepping down from 343, which is the creators or developers of Halo Infinite. And so the official reason was that there was like a family issue or family emergency there that's not really too detailed. But basically, she's stepping down. Officially, it's her stepping down, and it was a family issue. But almost everybody is reading between the lines, I have to admit, including myself, and I really feel like Microsoft probably fired her, but they wanted to make a good PR kind of thing about it. And it was, over just development and progress of Halo Infinite and all the bad press that it's gotten, and, how it's being handled as a live service and all of that. But technically, we don't know all the details, so it might not be that. It might actually be a family emergency. There might actually be something that went out. But, yeah, so officially, though, she is no longer with the company. Her job has been split into 3 different places, or 3 different people. And
I hate when companies do that.
Yeah, so...
I hate that when it would be like, we got rid of this person, but we're not going to fill their role. Instead, people who already work here, y'all got to split the work. Good luck. Unless those people got raises. But they probably did. It's just now you got to do this extra. Have fun.
I don't know all the details. Maybe they did. I would have hoped that they did. It's like, who better to give out raises than Microsoft? But other than that, she's no longer with the company. Hopefully, Halo can get the ball rolling a little bit quicker now that she's not with it. It is what it is, I guess. But, I mean, I don't know how to say it. I guess Halo, maybe she did need to go. I remember people have been calling for her job already. It sounds so bad. It sounds bad because, I made a video that I actually deleted because I didn't like the sound quality of it because of I turned on a compressor that I didn't like. And so I was like, all right, I'm not going to do it because it's not too big of a news thing to me as it is to everybody else. Because I just feel like the one thing that I think they should do that they're probably not going to do is they should cut the time down on Halo Infinite and just come out with another Halo game and then actually release it with everything in it. Like, the best thing that they could do is say, okay, Halo, we're going to still let the public believe it's 10 years, but then when we're ready for this next game, we'll just bust it out on everybody, and then we'll be like, okay, but Halo Infinite is not 10 years anymore, and here's this new game. That's my only thing that they should do. Because I feel like that game, Halo Infinite, should just be 5 years. You cut your losses after the 5th year, and then you make the next Halo, and that one's 5 years, and that one actually launches with all of the stuff up front. The co-op, the Forge, all of the online stuff. Like it actually
But there will
launches
be
with
some
everything.
people to complain though that they said
People,
that they paid for something that was supposed to be supported for 10 years, and
yeah.
you quit after 5.
Well, what if they do both? What if it's like if it was Call of Duty Warzone, and then they still have Call of Duty games? What if they just do
I don't
something
think so
like that?
because you like you said, like they would stop kind of doing stuff. Like Call of Duty Warzone still gets updates and new features as well. That if
Yeah.
they move on to another Halo, I don't think the current Halo would get anything new. They would just keep getting stability updates. I don't see it as a bad idea. I just do feel like some people will feel cheated.
I could see it. Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens
They
with
need to
that.
do some. They need to do something though, like
Yeah.
to really. Man, they could as long as they also deliver on the promises and they said the game is running for 10 years. Technically, they can move on to a new one.
Yeah. Well, we'll see.
Who knows? There are certain games that used to do things where it's like if it could, like you get, I guess, special stuff if you played a previous, right? Like in Xenoverse 2, it'll read your Xenoverse 1 data or things like that. They could easily do something where if they're releasing like another Halo 5 years in, that if you have infinite like data, you get whatever like boost to start as if you like been playing for a while, like to make it to like for the people who did go for infinite to not feel as cheated if they just like remove it onto a better one. It's like, well, you get a pump up because you have save data for infinite,
They get another.
or you get to
cat
take
ear
off where you
helmet.
left off.
They get a cat ear helmet, maybe.
Yeah, cat ear helmet and something.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's all I really have to say about that. So I don't want to like count the game out completely. I don't think it's going to be counted out completely, but it is definitely suffering a little bit. I guess if we jump back to PlayStation, hopefully for the last time, I guess we'll start with the high and then the low. So, real quick, you wanted to talk about Sly Cooper. Let's talk about Sly Cooper.
Yeah, the Sly Cooper's back, sorta. If you get the highest tier, I believe, the PlayStation Premium,
Yeah.
by the end of September, they're putting the Sly Cooper collection. So I guess it's that streaming version because it has to be the PS3 stuff. But if you don't have a PS3 or you just wanted to play it on the current gen system, you're going to be able to go back and play Sly Cooper 1, 2, and 3. And then I believe 4 you should have or is on there in some way as well. So I think, they're putting all 4. That's what it is. So they have the collection 1, 2, and 3, and then they're going to also put 4 on there. So I'm hoping if a bunch of people who have premium do take the time and play this one, and go through them and like show the traction and like love for Sly Cooper that I know that apparently a lot of people out there have, maybe Sucker Punch will see it and like go make another Sly Cooper game instead of, because I know Sucker Punch, like I get it, they make what they make and then they move on and everything. So they're currently in the Ghost of Tsushima stuff, and then like when they're done with Ghost of Tsushima, they plan on moving on. But maybe this could convince them maybe to revisit Sly Cooper, which would be really cool. And then have a really solid just new platformer as well with like name value. So I'm excited for it.
I will have to say, when you say a new platformer, the one that I want is I want Astro's Playroom, the demo, as a full game. Like if they do a sequel to that, because I actually really enjoyed that. That was the demo that was on the PlayStation 5 when you first buy it.
That was really fun.
Yeah. So I think there's the VR version of that as well. So I was hoping to, because I technically own the VR version through PS Plus. I was hoping that they would say PSVR 2 was back compat, and then it would give me that game by default, some of the other ones that was in PS Plus, and
Yeah.
then there's the new one. But unfortunately, that's not a thing. But this might like make some Nintendo fans a little upset. I think that because I don't know how this kind of came up, but Astro's Playroom on the demo of PS5, I think that one's a little bit better than Kirby. Kirby's still fun, and it's a good game, but I actually think that game beats it in a way. I do.
So I have not played the new Kirby, but I can say that it is a high bar for comparing them, because I think the Astros Playroom was really fun. So
yeah, I think Astro's a little bit better, but I think at the same time, which might hurt Kirby in a way. This is why I said it's a little controversial. I think they're around the same in length. I think they're both the same length. So it's like, hey, one comes with the system and the other one is, free. But, or one's free and the other one you got to pay $60 for. But yeah, they're both around 6 or 7 hours long. And the Kirby game beats Astro when it comes to like boss fights, but then Astro beats Kirby when it comes to creativity to me. But it's still very creative. Neither game really has a story. Both games are more just play and have fun, and I think that's still awesome.
But
that's still
Astros was like, learn, like, find all the. Oh no, I guess it's not really a story. It was just.
It was a celebration of. It was celebration of the history of PlayStation, which I enjoyed.
Yeah.
Because I remember so much that they showed.
Yeah, but I guess you're right. Story wise, it wasn't really anything. It's not really a story.
Yeah, Kirby was sort of like they took a page out of Odyssey, where it's just kind of like you kind of get it where you're saving somebody, but you're not really like Odyssey. You're saving the princess, which is obvious,
and the hat's wife.
Yeah, where Kirby, when he throws his hat, he just takes over their abilities. He doesn't absorb their body. And then he has to protect all the little Kirby kind of people, or like save all the little Kirby looking people. They're like little munchkin people, but it's not a princess. It's just people. So, but it's similar. Yeah. But overall, just have fun. You don't have to harp on it. It's not a bad thing. Just have fun. But I do think that I have to give the edge to Astra. Not that I'm trying to be like a fanboy for PlayStation over Nintendo. It's just when I stack game by game, I got to give it to Astra. But yeah, so Sly Cooper, you enjoy Sly Cooper. That's the highlight of this. Now the low part, which I don't even know if this is low, but I called it low. But basically, the last piece of PlayStation news, I think, is Babylon's Fall is basically done. Basically, this is one of your topics.
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily say it's PlayStation news because it's also on PC too. Square Enix's Babylon's Fall is dead in the water. So the game is going to end up being completely shut down in February next year, February 27th. They had a large scale update, similar to how Anthem did, large scale update that was planned and canceled. They did say they were releasing their current stuff in like 3 seasons. So season 2 will run up until November, the end of November. And season 3 will run from the end of November after a quick update up until the February when it shuts down. They're not letting you buy any more in-game currency and everything. And it's because it, like, I think a couple months ago, it fell to 1 player concurrently on Steam. So it was just 1 person in the world currently playing Babylon's Fall a couple months ago. So that game is done, unfortunately. Yeah, I mean, it didn't get rave reviews. Like, it wasn't great, but it's done.
It was good while it lasted, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't like that games are ended because this one's like purely online, so it's like no one can eventually pick it up and go back to it, right? If they want to do like Square Enix's best and worst hits, they can't go back to this. But it wasn't that great of a game.
Yeah, so I won't really miss it, but that's okay.
Yeah,
That's
same.
okay. Another thing that I won't miss that I guess I can go into real quick. The developer of Color Expo.
That's so bad.
I already said it wrong, but it just didn't hit for me. It wasn't that good of a show for so many different things. But the main thing I could say is there were 3 games there that I can definitely say that I would take a look at some point. So one of them is called 9 Years of Shadow. The other one is called Candle Night. And then Bioware, I think I'm saying that right. Bioware Legend of Dragon Slayer.
Oh.
That's it. That last one is actually the best one that I saw. Bioware Legend of Dragon Slayer. I hope I'm saying that right. That's Biwar. Legend of Dragon Slayer.
Bioware. I mean, hey, it sounds the coolest.
So that was the only other thing I could say from that. Other than that, I didn't care too much for the show.
Okay. I mean, the other ones weren't that good either during Geek Week and all of those other ones. Whenever they did the expos, it's just I don't know. They're just boring. They have nothing eye grabby.
Yeah, so that's all I can really say about that one. One thing I have to say, because I think this is the end of it, there's too many shows that they do 2 back to back. Like, why can't they just space it out? Didn't we say that last time? Why couldn't they just space it out?
Like there was not only too many back to back. I felt like every single day this week it was like, and this game was revealed from this first show, and it's like, why are there so many?
Yeah.
Shows, especially if half of the content needs to be repeated and everything. It's like, well, then you don't need a show yet.
Yeah, they should space that out because there's always like this gap, and then all of a sudden there's just a bunch of them at the same time, and it's like it's almost without warning too. Because for the majority of the public, I can imagine they were just like me, where they all heard about them last second and they had to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Speaking of indie, though, real quick, I mean, if there's another person you want to back, for those that are Persona fans, we talked about Persona earlier.
Yeah.
One of the original composers for Persona has a game on a Kickstarter called Gun Undarkness. So it's a turn-based tactical stealth game. So the best way they described it was like fusing Metal Gear with Persona is the idea. You're supposed to be like stealth and then fight, and all of that stuff. But it's by the guy. It's his first game since leaving Atlas, which is the company that makes the Persona games. But I imagine it's going to be very similar to Persona. So it's on Kickstarter now. Might be a game if you're interested in that type of stuff and backing the Kickstarter games. That's one.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. I guess other news that's probably quick that we can go over real quick. So Cyberpunk's finally getting some DLC, but it seems to be next gen only though. So
so if you got the game on a PS4 or Xbox One, you will not get this update, which the game doesn't even run that great on those systems. So I do know for PS5, there is, if you have the PS4 version, it's a free update to the PS5 version. You'll have to have your disc in, but it is a free update.
There's a smart delivery update on the Series X and S as well. So you just need to have the game, or you need to have the systems, basically.
Yeah,
so that's still actually still the biggest hurdle. That's still the hardest hurdle technically, but
unfortunately, so they got, it's called what was it, Phantom Liberty, and it seems to be themed after the show. So the anime that just came out on Netflix, which I still gotta watch, but I heard good things about, it's themed after that. But there's also, according to the PR, like all your representatives and everything for Cyberpunk, this sounds like it's going to be its only expansion. So they're kind of moving on from this now. They feel like they got it to a place
That's interesting
where it's
'cause
working. They're releasing one thing, and then they want to move on to a new Witcher.
Yeah, because I remember they wanted to do like 2 or 3. I guess not, but I can understand. I don't think anybody's upset with that either. I think they just wanted it to work, the base.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
yeah.
I said I wasn't going to play it until I knew it worked. So it was like after this DLC, I'll relook at some reviews to see is it like extra playable, and then eventually I'll get to it. Because I was able to pick it up this version for like $5-10. So
Yeah. So I think everybody will be able to get it cheap, especially this upcoming Black Friday in a couple months. Other than that, another quick thing that I found out that I thought was kind of cool and funny. The Lego game series is making their own version of a Super Smash Brothers. This is called
that's weird.
This is called Lego Brawl, and it's all custom characters. So there's a trailer out there for it. It's just simply Lego Brawl, and it's exactly what you would think it is, but all Lego guys. And so
You know, Lego has the license for like Marvel games and DC games. So you can essentially do Batman versus Iron Man or Hulk versus Superman. It just have to be through Lego. This might be a great game.
But that's the thing. I think it's all custom characters only. I think you just make your Lego guy, and then you fight with your Lego guy. I don't.
However,
think it's,
I wouldn't be
that.
surprised if they put the like you can put a Superman costume on them and things
yeah.
like that. Like if
So
the
you can get
power
your
sets are
pretend
in there.
on. You can pretend all you want. You can name them and all that. So I'm pretty sure. But yeah,
I'll
I
look
thought that
into
was
it.
interesting. I just thought it was kind of odd. That happened like last week sometime. It kind of got overlooked in the news because it's another Lego game. But I saw that and I was just like, really? They making their own? And they called it Brawl. They called it Brawl. Lego Brawl. So
That's gonna be weird because like I feel like the Lego games that go really popular are the ones that license like movies, and then I guess there was the Lego City Undercover, but past that, it's gonna be weird to have like like it's not themed to anything, just fighting.
yeah, and then this another quick news that would go into our next topic a little bit, which was one of the final ones, was basically Gotham Knights. If you pre-order this from Walmart, you will get a steelbook that's exclusive to Walmart. So that's something to know.
That's tempting. Because the steelbooks look nice, so that's tempting. It's just I'm still afraid the game isn't going to be good.
Yeah, but if you want that steelbook, you got to go for Walmart. I'm still kind of holding out for the Callisto Protocol steelbook. That's like my only thing that would tempt me into it. Outside of what we said in episode 12, I will not repeat it. You got to go to episode 12. But other than that, yeah. So that will go into our next topic. I don't know if that's going to make you get it, but you did see the Disney and Marvel game show. I clocked out. It was too many shows. I was like, that's the last that I could watch. But how was that show?
The show is pretty good. It was a lot more solid than Nintendo's. It was a good show. So they opened with like a little graphic. They're releasing a game called Tron Identity, which is hilarious because I just got done talking about Tron in our last video.
Yeah.
As like the ending that sticks with me, and they're releasing a new Tron game apparently. I'm already interested to see what that is.
That's cool.
Another one that you might be into as well, because it looks good for me. So I think it's going to be on Switch only though, but it's like a platformer where you get to play as like Mickey, Minnie, Donald, or Goofy, and it's called Illusion Island. And it's like an up to 4 player platformer, and it's styled very similar to Rayman Legends. It looks like Rayman Legends, but with those 4 instead. So the trailer that they showed was pretty funny. And like somebody was like trying to explain that they're like in danger, and like Goofy just was not understanding, and Mickey's like, "Don't worry, we'll explain it to him." Like it was pretty funny. Midnight Suns got a new release date.
Oh, really?
Marvel's Midnight Suns. Yeah, It's coming out December 2nd.
Oh, so
They
it
no
made it
longer
this
are
year.
waiting till February.
Okay. All right. That's bold of them to come back to
Yeah.
this year.
Boy, if this
That's
boy
bold.
comes out broken,
Oh
this comes
man,
out broken.
yeah, you can't be that bold and it still come out broken. So
Yeah,
yeah,
but they're going to be start releasing actual like prequel shorts starting the end of October to
I look
like
forward
hype
to
up the
it.
game, doing little shorts for the characters, like little animated videos to introduce the characters.
Okay.
It is still like, you know, turn based, and it's going to throw a lot of people off because the trailers make it look like it really shouldn't be.
Yeah, it's really misleading, but hey, it is what it is. I would
Even
like to
this
see
one
the
was also the
complaints.
same.
I would like to see the
Yeah.
complaints later. That would be kind of funny.
Oh yeah. But there was that. There was a few other games that was advertised. So I don't want to go into like everything. Just watch the show. Avatar is getting a shooter, like a Call of Duty style shooter, but with Avatar. But it also looks like it's going to be on the phone. So I'm very confused as to what they're going with this. There was a little feature for Return to Monkey Island. Really trying to advertise that. And making sure everybody understands. They made a point of this, that you're a pirate, not a monkey. Like the island's called Monkey Island, but you play as a pirate. Gargoyles is getting remastered.
That's really interesting.
The game, yeah, they're just talking about how they keep bringing back some of the older games, and they're going to be remastering. It's like Gargoyles remastered.
I actually think I saw that news too. Yeah, I think I may have saw that after it. Okay.
Yep. Disney's getting its own Mario Kart. It's called Speedstorm.
Okay.
It showed what's his name? Mike and from Monsters Inc.
Okay.
Mike and Sully. It showed Mike and Sully. It showed Mickey Mouse and a couple other characters. But it's their own kart racer. It looks like it's a little more strategic, so it looks more like Crash Team Racing, where it looks like drifting might be an element as well. But they got that coming out. Some of their stuff that they showed before. And then also, so the big thing that they showed off, like the main game, because everything else is like a repeat, like Dreamlight Valley and all that stuff. But their main one, there's some game coming out by the people who what did they make? I want to say they worked on like story-driven games like Uncharted.
Okay.
And stuff. Yeah, they worked on that. So it's a game coming out that's going to be about Black Panther, Captain America, one of the like Wakanda spies, like their women army, and some World War II soldier. And it takes place during the World War II era. So this might be T'Challa's grandfather.
Okay.
At the time instead, but it takes place during World War II, and it was like the captain, the king, the soldier, and the spy is what the like 4 tag was. And it's like a story-driven, I think, game, but that's all it showed off as of now. And they don't even have a full title. They didn't even give a title. It had the studio name, and then it said those 4, and then it like showed a silhouette of Captain America, Black Panther, and the other 2. And there was like a little cinematic where you could tell you're in World War II, and it showed the shield with the claw through it. And then that was it. They didn't give it a name.
Well, I hope it gets better praise than the Marvel Avengers game.
I hope so. It depends on what they do with it. Like, they could specifically just have 4 separate types of missions and you play solo. I'm hoping it's not just some weird tag team thing, like a group, like weird battles. I don't know what they're going to do with it, but it could be good.
I think I have here one more game that I don't know if you just mentioned, but Skydance Marvel Assemble.
Yes, that was the game. It was Skydance that made this.
That's the name.
Yep.
Okay.
Skydance is the company, and it's Black Panther and Captain America focused. But that's all we know about it.
Okay. Well, I look forward to it. Shoot. Hey, as long as it's good. As long as these things are good and they're not broken and stuff, I look forward to all of them. You know what I mean?
I agree.
I look forward to all of them. So where would you rank this show compared to the other ones that you saw?
I saw the State of Play from PlayStation, the Nintendo show, and I saw this one, the Marvel show. So out of these three, I would say they're number 2. PlayStation was number 1, and Nintendo was number 3.
Okay.
This one, it felt more streamlined, like it was focused. Some of their repeats, I mean, it was that game Dream Valley something where like all the Disney characters are there, but it's a Disney show, so of course they're going to show the game where all the Disney characters are in it. But it felt a little more like, you know, here's here, and then they're like, yo, here's the Avatar Frontiers of Pandora game, and then hey, by the way, we're going to have a shooter for some reason. But like, so I zoned out a little bit there, but it like opened with Tron and ended with Captain America and Black Panther. So it was good, and then more feature like the Midnight Sun stuff.
Okay. I will say, for me, PlayStation show was the best. I would say the Tokyo Game Show will be second.
Okay.
And then I would go with the Nintendo show as third, and then the Developers of Color is fourth from the shows that I've seen.
Okay.
So
that's fair. That's very fair.
So yeah.
Yeah, but that PlayStation show was top. I mean, come on, everything. God of War, Tekken. That PlayStation show.
It didn't seem like they threw stuff at you. It seemed like everything had just a similar, like, mature theme to it. It seemed like they were all like, this is for our veteran players. That's what I liked about it. I didn't feel like there was nothing that was supposed to be, like, even though they were new games, it was still stuff that was supposed to feel familiar. You know what I mean? It was supposed to feel familiar. So,
also, it wasn't long. Like, I think that was the other thing. Even the Marvel Disney show wasn't that long. I felt like the Nintendo show was just like, it was long, and like at least 7 of the games were like things that were already advertised, and then I'm like, bunch of them were just ports. It was like, come on.
Yeah, the Nintendo one felt long, even though it was 40 minutes. It felt long. So
the other two, I think, were like maybe 30.
Yeah.
Each that extra 10, but it was an extra 10 minutes for and almost like 20 to 25 minutes of the show was just not interesting. I think that's the problem. Whereas like you got 20, it's 10 minutes longer and just more not interesting stuff.
That Developer of Color one was like, or I think it's called Dev of Color. I keep saying developer. It was an hour. Well, that one was a hot hour.
Oh, so but they were talking, right?
Yeah, they did talking and interviews in between. Like the Xbox show, the Tokyo show did that too, but they still kept it overall short. They didn't like linger, but it didn't feel bad. But anyways, I think that's all we got as far as video gaming. There's a couple quick things here. So, some of the very last things we could talk about. VHS 99. There was a new trailer for it. It's like completely not gaming related, but we talk horror movies at the end of this. So I did want to mention that. I did see that. You saw that as well. So I'm still hyped. I sure did. I'm still hyped for it. I don't know what else is going to happen, but I know it's going to be some crazy stuff. So I can't wait to see it. I'm glad that they said it's this October and it's going to be first to streaming. So we'll be able to get our hands on it early or at least by Halloween. So that'll be cool. The other thing that I wanted to mention as far as Halloween stuff, or I guess horror movie, Orphan, I found this out. So the Orphan movie, Orphan First Kills, the actress signed on for 2 films. It's not just one. So she did, that was the prequel, and she's supposed to do a Orphan 2, which is the sequel to the first Orphan. So
Orphan Third Kill.
Yeah, I don't know if it's called. So it's like she did the before, and now she's gonna do the after of the first film.
I bet you it's like gonna be like Orphan Last Kill or something like that.
Yeah.
Well, like Orphan First Kill, Orphan Last Kill.
Yeah, I don't know. I hope it's not the last one because she like a real life Chucky. They can keep that going for a while, unless they kill her off or something.
Although you can imagine some of the filming must have been annoying because with standing still, people had to stand on little pedestals to like
what they,
Make her seem shorter.
you know, it'd be funny if they just go all in with like copyright or something, and they just like transfer her spirit into a doll, and then she could voice over from the rest of her life. It just
Oh
like
goodness.
they do it with an actual doll of it or something. Then it's like, okay, okay. But they could get away with it if they had a whole nother film series for Chucky instead of it being Chucky. So
It's true.
so if they can get away with that, and that was like spot on the same, if they can get away with that, then they probably could do it. It'll seem weird, but yeah, so I think that's all we got here. The last thing that I want to talk about is, like I said in the very beginning, I did get the Megazord. So that's the Zord Ascension Project Megazord, which was the Hasbro release officially. So
Okay.
not the $400 one. And so I can say it is quality figure to an extent. I didn't have any of the defects or errors that I've seen online from the people from the UK that they were having, but I will say it does have some scuffs out the box, very little, but you'll see it if you like zoom in or just have it all up in your face and look at it. Because everything is supposed to be die cast, but it's not like, it's die cast, so it's not metal, so that stuff can really get scratched, I guess. And maybe it got scratched in factory. I don't think it got scratched in delivery, but
Okay.
there's like one tiny speck of a scratch that I could see that's technically on the Megazord's head that might be the most noticeable, but it's, even then, it's not something that I would cry about, simply because I have so many other versions of Megazord that I'm not really too worried about, because I don't think this version looks the best in the tank mode. However, the 2010 version, in my opinion, looks the best in tank mode. So it's like I would display this as Megazord, I would display that one in tank, and then maybe the original as like separate or something. You know what I mean? Like if I really, really cared. From most people who gets most of them, you're only gonna display one at a time anyway, or maybe two. So
Yeah.
I wasn't really worried too much about it, but yeah, if I was to say anything, it don't look better in tank mode than the other one, in my opinion. And then it doesn't have, like, the yellow and blue Ranger Zords don't have wheels. They're all stuck in place, so you can't roll it. And you probably wouldn't want to anyway, because everything is die cast. I will say it's very stiff. It's very, very stiff. It almost feels like some parts when you try to like connect it or pull it apart, you feel like you might be breaking something. The joints are just very stiff. It's very posable though. It's very cool like that. Some of its gimmicks, like removing the mask to see the Rangers and the Zord's head and stuff, you might only do that once and never do that again. Like I don't think I would ever do that again. Opening up the Zord's heads to see a mini figure inside of each Zord, I don't think I would ever do that again either. It's like some of those gimmicks seem a little out of place. I will say I don't think it's worth the full $165, I think it was. However, I would still recommend that you get it at that price, simply because the second they go into aftermarket, they're all going to shoot up to 1,000. Every last one of them before that shoots up to like 800 to 1,000 on eBay or something. So I'm very tempted to get a second one, simply to get my money back and a little bit more, to be honest with you. If you really do want it, it was marked down to like 120 something on GameStop. I don't know if that was temporarily, but I can imagine some of the other places might have a deal like that leading up until Dragon Zord's release, which is in January. After that, I would say just bite the bullet and get it. Probably get more than one, because like I said, it is going to go up to like 800 plus on eBay. Even if you pay for shipping, you're going to make your money back and more off of eBay from years to come. The ugliest version of that Megazord is still worth hundreds of dollars used. So imagine if you have this particular one new in the box and you didn't open it. So When I get some more disposable cash leading into like Christmas time, I do think I might buy a second one for that reason only, because I will make my money back from the first two and then have some, you know, left
Okay.
over. Dragon Zord, as just owning it, from what I've seen from the package material, it doesn't look like they did any ascension stuff to it. It looks like every other Dragon Zord. So I'm not really too tempted to get it. I might still get it because it's not as expensive, and it's also going to go up in value. Like all of their Megazords go up in value. But the Ascension Megazord, when you have like the like two torpedoes that be on his back, like shoot forward on this version, like if it was like a transformer or something, it is a nice touch. And then all the little itty bitty designs all throughout it looks nice as well. I will say that it's very nice. The sword is a little light in my opinion, and then the figure, somebody said the figure feels a little light. I couldn't really tell. It felt like it was like the same like weight as the rest of the figures. I did notice it is slightly taller than the rest of them. I saw somebody else's comparison video. This one is like head and shoulders bigger than the rest of them that are all the regular Megazord. So it does look a little bit bigger. My overall rating, I would say probably a B. I don't know if I can give it a full A, or maybe 8 out of 10 or something like that. But I do think it is a must buy at its price point. You will make your money back, and you will still, like, you could buy two and will make your money back for both of them. I like 100% guarantee it. Go look up all other iterations of it on Amazon and eBay. It's like you can price it at the price of the PS5 if you want to, once it stops production. So yeah, that's all I got to say about that. I don't know if there's anything else. I think we covered pretty much everything. Still a good episode.
Yeah.
I don't know how much more I'm gonna cover as far as Power Rangers. All I would say, I think it's just the Megazord this week, but there's gonna be so much more in Power Rangers going forward. It's not the end of it, because I know at some point I might give in and get the Rio Ranger, and I might just tell you about the Rio Ranger. But other than that, I think that's all we got. Any last words before we close it?
Yeah, enjoy games when you can in case it gets canceled, I guess.
Yeah, I just looked on my notes. There is one last thing about games that might get canceled. So you might still be able to play them on the Steam Deck through other ways.
Yeah.
Don't think they're all gonna go away. But the funny thing I just found out, because this was actually early news, but Steam Deck apparently released a beta service or a beta update to where they're allowing you to use Joy-Cons on it. And so you would use them the same way you would use when you have the Switch like on this little stand and it's just sitting there and you have the Joy-Cons in your hand. Apparently they're working on having that fully functional on the Steam Deck. So you can actually use your real Joy-Cons from Nintendo on the Steam Deck. It will support it.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, that's a last little bit of news. But other than that, hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you so much for listening. More to come this week from me personally, and then next week we'll have another jam-packed show for you, Lord's willing. And last thing I could say is don't forget to wash the back of your ears. And we are out.